only 2% of roofing contractors qualify as GAF Master Elite installers. So if you do the math, choosing Stellar Exteriors takes 98% of the worry out. That's Stellar Exteriors, 636 West Avenue in Ocean City, New Jersey. Give them a call today at 609-399-1010. That's 609-399-1010. Now let's go to the Bonds Harley Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room my fantasy football guru and yours, Brian Hartley. What's up, Guru?
Billy, it's another year. Here we do it again. We start week 1, and it's going to be an exciting day today. Glad to have football back and something to watch finally.
Well, Guru, it is so good to have you back. And, of course, when I hear your voice, we know that football season is here. Excited for a great season. Now, Guru, I'm in 2 fantasy football leagues, one at 97.3 ESPN and the other with your Playland guys.
Well, the bad news for you is you're in 2 fantasy football leagues because you historically don't do well.
Oh, listen, so you're going to actually, I'm going against you. You're in the league, so your tips are going to help me beat you.
Yeah, I got to be careful what I say this year. I got to keep an eye on your lineup there on that ESPN league and make sure I don't give you any tips, especially the week that we go head to head.
In the Playland, I got Carson Wentz, Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey had the first pick, so I got McCaffrey. I know Hunter Brody, he got McCaffrey in his fantasy draft, but he's a fantasy. He just racks up the points.
He does, especially in the PPR league. Almost every league, McCaffrey was number 1 and Barkley was number 2. There were a few instances, in some leagues where some people jumped and took a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes. But really, when running backs are the guys in most leagues, and there are a few that get the majority of the carries and are the bell cows, but Christian McCaffrey in a PPR league with the amount of catches that he gets and the yards that he racks up, touchdowns may be a little bit more of an issue this year for him, but certainly going to rack up plenty of yards and touches.
Now, a lot of few rookies were high up on the the pick, the draft order, but the Chiefs Hilaire, he accumulated a lot of points in his first game.
He really did, and I had an opportunity to take him at the end of the first round with the 10th pick in one league, and I passed on the opportunity. I ended up going with Michael Thomas instead. There were a bunch of running backs there that I really wasn't sure what to make of them, and I was happy getting one on the. Hey, listen, he had a great game. That offense is explosive there. They just added another weapon, and he looked really good in week 1. Week 1's a difficult week, especially for defenses, and it's a good week, I think, this week for running backs because a lot of these guys have not had tackling. There's been not any preseason games. Camp has been limited, so I think really having that contact and a lack of live tackling is going to be an issue this week, and some running backs really could have some breakout days.
Now, Fantasy Football Guru, Thursday night, I have 3 Chiefs. I have Travis Kelce, I have Watkins, and I have Tyreek Hill. So the Chiefs, they look great Thursday night, and those guys, they didn't really score high for me.
Yeah, they did. I mean, that's a great week for you. Now, last year they did have some up and down weeks, and weeks where they scored a lot of points. Now, typically I wouldn't be so heavily invested in one team like that because you are going to have some bumps in the road, and you're counting on a lot of guys getting you some points and the ball really being spread out. But if you're going to have them, I think this year the teams to have are going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think those are going to be the 3 teams that score the most points this season.
All right, so Guru, this year you're going to be on Twitter. You're going to be posting your picks on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, so once we get off here, I'm going to be posting onto Twitter, so everyone's going to be able to go and check that out on there. It's going to be exciting. I'm still getting used to it a little bit. It's not exactly my forte, but we are working on that, and hopefully we'll have that up and running in about a half hour.
All right, so that'll be the Guru it's got to be at Guru Locker Room because it's coming up a little different. We're going to have to make some changes, but right now it's Guru at Locker Room 973.
Yeah, right now it's Guru at the locker room, and I guess we'll have to work on that and get some changes. But I do have 3 followers so far, and you are one of those 3. So I think after the show today, after we get that out there, I got I got an old employee here down in North Carolina, and of course our old friends at Charlie's Bar are following me.
All right. All right, so week one, Guru, let's hear your picks for week one.
All right, so week one of the NFL season, at quarterback, I'd like Josh Allen, who I think is poised for a big year, going against the New York Jets. Ben Roethlisberger returning from that injury against a weak New York Giants defense. And Phil Rivers, a little change of scenery for him, going indoor this year to a lot of games in a dome, which I think will help him. But today, going against Jacksonville, going to be hot down there, but I look for him to put up some good fantasy value. At running back, Raheem Mostert going against the Arizona Cardinals. And Boston Scott filling in for the injured Miles Sanders going against the Washington football team.
Wow.
And I like Tariq Cohen today. Montgomery a little banged up going against Detroit, so I like Tariq Cohen, going to get some balls out of the backfield as well. At wide receiver, A.J. Brown going against my Denver Broncos. Stephon Diggs, another guy moving on this year, going up to Buffalo, going against the New York Jets. T.Y. Hilton against Jacksonville. And I like Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver from Pittsburgh, going against the New York Giants. Juju could see a little more coverage, so look for Deontay Johnson to have a breakout year this year as the number 2 there in Pittsburgh. Those are my picks for week one of the NFL season.
Yeah, all right. Hey, Guru, I got to tell you, I think it's something that's very interesting is going to be watching Philip Rivers this year with Frank Reich. You know how well he did with Carson Wentz. Maybe he can not that Philip Rivers really slipped that much, but you could get some big things for him this year in Indianapolis.
Yeah, you know what? The last few years, Philip Rivers has really not had good luck as far as injuries, especially the offense. Last year, Melvin Gordon had to hold out. Took him a while to get going. Keenan Allen was banged up. He obviously lost his tight end, Hunter Henry, and then obviously Gates retired. So I think he's going to have a rejuvenated year. I think playing inside in the dome for half the season is going to help. He does have some weapons on offense. They've got a new young running back, plus they have Marlon Mack coming back. You have T.Y. Hilton. I think he's got some weapons, and he's going to, maybe they're not going to win a ton of games. They might be a 9-7, 10-6 type team. But Philip Rivers, I think, fantasy value-wise, is really going to come through in the 2020 season.
All right, Guru, it's week one. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the Washington football team. Let's hear your prognostication for today.
Yeah, so I'm going 24-13 the Birds today.
24-13. And who does you see Boston Scott having a big game today?
I do. I think they're going to rely on him heavily. You know, the Eagles, it seems like we're picking up kind of where we left off last year. A lot of injuries, a lot of things going on. You know, no Miles Sanders, no Alshon Jeffrey, so you're looking at Deshaun Jackson. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year because they really do need that guy to be able to stretch the field. You've got Rieger who's banged up. So I think they rely a little more heavily on Boston Scott and the tight ends today, Goddard and Ertz. I think that's where you're going to see the majority of the work going today.
All right, Guru, what do you think the Eagles, give us a prediction on the Eagles season. What do you think their schedule is going to look like, or their record at the end of the year?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be another difficult year for them. I think they're going to kind of fall in the middle of the pack. I'm looking at 9-7 this season. Not very exciting. I think they're going to have their up and down games, and I think, unfortunately, they're going to play to the level of their opponent in a lot of those matchups.
What's the over and under on Jason Peters lasting a full season, or lasting past 2 games?
Past 2 games, I'm going to take the over. I think he's going to make it through a decent part of the season, but I think he will definitely miss a few games here and there. But hey, what are their options at this point that they have? I think it's great to have him back. We know what he's capable of as long as he can stay healthy.
I know. Look, we all know that injuries are part of the game. It just seems like the Eagles are starting. They got a lot of injuries moving. They haven't even played a game yet.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of injuries today too. I think again, kind of a condensed training camp, no preseason games. You know, you got a lot of guys like DeAndre Swift, Kenny Galladay, Mike Evans. You're seeing a lot of soft tissue injuries already this early in the season. And I think once you get out there, especially in some of these places like a Jacksonville, looking at a heat index of 96 today, you know, these guys are going to have to stay hydrated. They're going to have to stretch, or you're going to see a lot more of those type injuries early on in the season. I think it's going to take a few weeks to kind of get back to that real NFL feel. I think we're going to see some sloppy play the first 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, Fantasy Football Guru. I'm so excited for this year 2020. I appreciate you being on part of the program this year, and I look for your call next week as a Fantasy Football Guru.
Always a pleasure, Billy. Thanks for having me.
All right, the Fantasy Football Guru, Brian Hartley, is brought to you by Stell Exteriors. They've been providing professional roofing and siding at affordable prices since 1996. Did you know that only 2% of roofing contractors qualify as a GAF Master Elite installer? So if you do the math, choosing Stell Exteriors takes 98% of the worry out. That's Stell Exteriors, 636 West Avenue in Ocean City, New Jersey. Give them a call at 609-399-1010. That's 609-399-1010. And the second hour of the locker room is